Hi friends and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about my Flosstube pattern stash. I have no self-control. If you don't already know this or can't already tell by the multitude of books behind me, when I find something that I like, when I find something that, you know, becomes a hobby, I tend to not have any self-control and maybe go a little bit over the score, but I always think it's all in fun. Like, these patterns are going to stay in my stash until I stitch them. They're never going to not be available to me, which is great. Also, if they get retired or if I can't get my hands on them, I like to know that I got them when I could, so that if there ever comes a time that I can't, physically get these, then I already got them. So that's like how I rationalize buying things to myself, because I'm like, well, what if I can't get it later on? And then that just breeds chaos. But today I have 20 patterns to talk about. I tried to have a look. I may be potentially missing a few, but these are the ones that I have on my drive that I know that I bought or was gifted. So I'm going to run through them. I'm going to put a picture on the screen of what they will look like finished. I will tell you all the details you need to know, and if I have any plans or thoughts on the patterns, I will let you know also. Let's start with my Heaven and Earth Designs patterns. When I first stumbled across cross stitch, it was by accident, and I bought a stamped kit, and then I discovered Flosstube, and everything went out the window when I found full coverage. So I do have a few full coverages on the go at the minute. If you're interested, I will leave linked either up somewhere or down below my last Flosstube so you can see what I'm actively working on. This is just patterns that I have that may potentially start soon. And I love full coverage. I love the look of it. I love the process of it. Unfortunately, they're just so like much of a commitment that I can't just have all of my patterns be full coverage. All of my whips, sorry. So the first one I have here is Mini Autumn Magic. This is by Randall Spangler. This is 225 by 370 stitches, and it's a mini, so it's smaller. I first started my first full coverage was the Firefly by Amy Stewart, also a mini. I kind of regret doing that in a mini because I think the details are going to be sorely lacking. When I went back to look at this mini to see if I wanted to buy the regular chart instead, I realized this one actually doesn't look so bad in the mini, and I think it's because it's a house. It's like you lose a little bit of detail, but you can still see everything. I think with Firefly, the issue is going to be faces. I think if I have something with a face, I need it to be regular or max color to be the definition that I want. But this one looks totally fine as a mini. I love the vibe of this. I love autumn. It's my favorite season. The only thing is I have a pattern on my wish list that can kind of go side by side with by this one. It's Halloween instead of autumn, but they're both houses. And I don't know if I would prefer to stitch the other one over this one, but I guess we'll see. I'm just gonna like vibe. I'm just gonna vibe and stitch what I want to stitch and buy what I want to buy. And I will be taking out a video in the future of what's actually on my wish list for my patterns. So if you're interested, then stick around because I will be doing a look into my wish list. The next one I have here is Dragon Race into the Night by Rose Khan. I'm pretty sure this is a retired chart now. I'm not sure if Rose Khan is now charted other places. If so, I will leave on screen where they may be charted. This is 750 by 556 stitches, so this is probably like the biggest one I have on here. And I think I'm going to use this as my attempt on 25 count, 2 over 1. So I I tried 25 count, I didn't really like it, and I was doing 1 over 1 full cross. But I think the issue was I was doing a Doctor Strange pattern, which is also on this, because anything that I have UFO'd or I'm not stitching has went back into my pattern stash if I do plan to stitch it. I was new. I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't really know what pre-gridded fabric was actually like. I kept getting confused because you either need to be like your 10th stitch on the line or off the line, and I kept getting confused with myself. Also, the pattern that I was using didn't go into Pattern Keeper right, so I couldn't select the thread colors, the symbols. So I was just stitching using the paper chart and Pattern Keeper. So it was, a mix of things that I think added to me not actually liking doing 1/1 on 25 count. So I think that this one will be my. I recently discovered tent stitch. I'm doing one of my patterns on 2/1 tent stitch on 22 count hardanger. So I think this will be, because it's so big, it's like the biggest one I think I have. Because it's so big, I think 2/1 would be a good, way to speed this process up. But also my next pattern, which is Treasure Hunt Bookshelf by Amy Stewart. This is 625 by 452. This is going to be, I'm going to start this before Dragon Race into the Night. I know that for sure because I want this to be my second attempt of 2/1 full cross on 25 count. I don't know if I'm going to get the pre-gridded or if I'm just going to grid as I go myself because I prefer my grids. But now that I know how to like work the grid on the pre-gridded, I'm not too sure what I'm gonna do yet, but I know that I'm gonna start Treasure Hunt Bookshelf before Dragon Race into the Night because I want to try 1/1 on 25 pound. Start again, Shannon. I want to try 2/1 on 25 count again before I try 2/1 10 stitch. So I definitely think Treasure Hunt Bookshelf will be before Dragon Race into the Night. The next one I have is Wanderlust by Amy Stewart. This is 450 by 388. And I may crop this to be closer to 225, and I'll drop the height by 70. I want this to kind of match the size of my Firefly, so if I can crop off enough for it to look similar sizes, this would be stitched on 18 count, 2/1, like my Firefly, because they're very similar. And I think I will put this one off for a while because they're so similar. I just think, like, I love the artwork and I love having this in my stash. But because I'm doing the Firefly one, this one doesn't really need to be rushed because, it's very similar to the Firefly. So this is just a if and when I get to it. And lastly, we have Magic Study, the rainbow version by Rose Khan. Again, this will be retired. This is 775 by 574 on 25 count. So this is actually my biggest one. This is bigger than Dragon Race into the Night. And I don't really have any plans for this. I would like to do it on 25 count because it's so big. And I'm hoping once I start Treasure Hunt Bookshelf, um, this one will probably be last out of the three, so it'll probably go like Treasure Hunt Bookshelf, 1/1 on 25 count. Then I'll try Dragon Race into the Night, 2/1 on 25 count. And then I'll decide which one I like better. So going into Magic Study, it'll either be 1/1 or 2/1 10 stitch. Next, we're going to go into here is Thread Geeks. I got Unseelie Forest Witch by Chrissa Bug. This is 243 by 360 stitches. This is potentially going to be a very soon start because I am obsessed. I also have another one that's on my wish list that I do intend to buy because I now want to have like three of these, warrior women, like badasses, as like a trio, and I can really see that being like a wall, like just three of them on a wall. So the first one I followed Krista Bug's artwork for a while before she was charted by Thread Geeks. So the fact that she is now charted, I am just obsessed and I want everything. I definitely think this is going to be a start in the near future, definitely this year, which is scary because I already have so much on the go and I just started crocheting. So my time is now split between reading, crocheting, and cross stitch. I also work, so I don't have all the time in the world. I also make content, which takes up some time of my life. So yeah, I don't know when this will be started, but I do know that it will be started this year. And I think I'm gonna do it on 18 count, 2/1, and I think I'm gonna do it on blue fabric because all of the cream outside of the frame is actually stitched. And I don't want to stitch light on light, and I also don't want to stitch light on super dark. So I think I'm gonna use the same blue fabric that I used for Firefly for this one. um when eventually get this framed and stuff, you're never actually going to see the fabric because it'll be, close to the edge where it's framed, but it will be easier for me to stitch on the blue fabric with all these cream colors. Next we have a few from Unconventional Cross Stitch. I always stumble across this name. It's Baby Baphomet by Kea Harris. This is 141 by 199. I feel like if I want a full coverage that is, blocky with color that I would get fast results on, I would start this because it just so aesthetically pleasing. The colors, the blocking, the artwork, it's just so cute. And also, I feel like the artwork with this would match my Shelf Overlord that I got from Killstar. And I will insert a picture so you can see what I'm talking about. And I think like if I could make this like 1/1 on like a really high count and make it smaller, I can put them together on my shelves and it can be like Shelf Overlord and their lover, their buddy, their pal. So that's where my head goes when I what that's where my head goes. I Yeah, yeah. The next pattern is Whatever Bitch Balls. This is 104 by 101, and this is just like a cutesy unicorn pattern. Don't know when I would start this. Um, I think it's funny. I actually got this as a Valentine's Day gift from my best friend, Effie, who is always linked down below. They also do cross stitch updates, floss tubes, and they also do book videos. So if you're interested, they're always linked in the description. And they gifted me this with a few others on this list, and I'm so very grateful always. I'm so lucky to have like such a lovely best friend, and I just all the gratitude. And yeah, I think this is one that would be really fun if I stitched up for them and gave it to them as like a gift. But I'm still working on a gift that was meant to be last year, but I completely underestimated how long cross stitch took at that point. So, but I think this would be really cool to like, do and maybe finish as a pillow or something, a cushion, have it smaller so that they can maybe put it in their library. I think that would be cute. Next, we have two patterns from Silver X Stitches on Etsy. The first one is Lothlorien, and it is 300 by 391 stitches. And the second one is The Hobbitation, which is 300 by 389 pages. I'm already doing Mordor, so similar to what I was saying with the three Chrysabug cross stitches being like a three-piece in and of themselves, this poster wall would be a Lord of the Rings poster wall, and I'd have all three of them. I think that I would do these all on 18 count 2/1 because that's what I started Mordor on. And I may crop the posters to be all the same size. I'm not sure how I would work that just yet. They would all probably need to be cropped closer to the Mordor size because that's the one that I've started. But I do plan to do all of these. I think that this is hard because I want to start all of the things, but I also want to have adequate time to the patterns in which I already started. So this may be a like maybe once every 2 year I start one of these, and then in like 10 years time I'll eventually have a Lord of the Rings wall. That sounds so long, but like time goes really quick. So mm, I guess we'll just feel this one out, but they will all be on 18 count. Next here, we're moving on to some Etsy shops. So the first one I have is Christmas 242 by Box and Fox. This is 134 by 134. I've seen this, and if you don't know, teal is my favorite color. Tiffany's teal to be exact, like this teal right here. This is my favorite color. I love it. I think it calms me. It's so nice. It calms me, and I love it. So I seen this, and it has very similar coloring to that. And also at Christmas time, we have some teal baubles and teal accents in our Christmas decorations. So I seen this and was like, I could potentially stitch this and finish it in like a small hoop, and it can like go to the bottom of our Christmas tree. I think I would have to stitch this on pretty high count fabric for it to be small enough. Maybe like do it on a 32 count fabric with 1/1, which I've never done before, so it would be something new. Just to make it teeny tiny so that I can fit it like and make it like a Christmas ornament essentially. I don't know how that would work because it is 130, 134 by 134 isn't actually that big. And if I'm doing it 1/1, then it'll be even smaller. This could potentially work. It's a problem for future Shannon. Next, we have Stained Glass Skull by MD Shagagan on Etsy at Sharona Creations. This is 400 by 400. I don't know how I'm going to stitch this because I do not want to stitch that much black, but I also don't want to stitch this on black fabric. So I have to make up my mind if I'm going to do black fabric or black stitches. So this is going to be put on hold for a good long while until I decide what I want to do. Then we have a pattern that went back into stash. This is No You Hang Up by digitizing everything. And this is 94 by 108. This is a planned restart for this year. I started this when I was new to cross stitch and I didn't measure my fabric properly, so I didn't have enough room for the words, and I wasn't enjoying stitching it on the 16 count Ada. So I decided to change it up, restart it. This is now going to go on a red hand dyed, like a deep red hand dyed fabric. The I think the blood spatter will still stick out because it's 666 and it's probably, against a more maroon background. I may potentially stitch the phone in pink and give it like a little pink look, but I will decide this as I go. I think what my plan is reapproaching this is I would do all the black first because I also had the issue that I was stitching white on white for the mask and it just felt redundant, whereas on the red I will be stitching the white and it won't feel redundant. So I think my next approach to this would be to stitch all of the black first and then fill in the smaller colors. I now have the fabric. This will be a restart sometime soon. It's a smaller project, so it shouldn't take me too long. And this was meant to be a gift for Effie last year, but I just wasn't having fun with it, so it's hard to force myself to stitch on something I'm not really enjoying. I don't know if I would be able to get this done by October for our All Hallows Eve gift giving exchange this year, unless I started it right now, but I'm still focusing on my gift for my great aunt for Christmas, so maybe next year. But I will be restarting it this year. Then we have the Witchy Stitchers. So I think all of these are Patreon exclusive patterns. So if you're not part of their Patreon, you won't have access to these, but I love them. So the first one we have is Vintage Halloween Fair. This is 209 by 100 stitches. I think that I would do this on like a dusty grey fabric. It's really cute. It's really dainty. I think it would work perfect for Halloween. I just cracked my big toe, so too much information, right? So yeah, this is something that is just going to sit in my stash until I find something fabric that I feel matches well with the vibe. Something that's probably not going to stay in my stash for much longer is the tarot frame and the tarot cards. So the Witchy Stitcher is not doing this as a stitch along, but they've released a frame for the tarot, the 22 major arcana cards, and they have released the Lovers and Death as cards already. So I'm probably going to start this. I was thinking like June, July, give myself a bit of time to like lean into my crochet and get like progress or meet some goals that I already have on my starts already, my whips already, before I jump into this because it's still quite a big pattern and the frame's going to take forever. So I was thinking like June or July, I can start the frame I could maybe start the frame in June. The frame is all like rainbow colors, so like June Pride, stitch in the rainbow. That would be pretty cool. And then by that time, there'll be more cards that have been, revealed. So I'll know exactly where I want to place the ones that have been revealed, and then just work as they come out. So this could potentially be a June start. The last one I have for the Witchy Stitcher is Mon Cher Caramia. This is 89 by 109. This is really cute. It's sweet. I would probably do it on the pink fabric like the Witchy Stitcher has. Like, this is just something that I would stitch for myself. Um, it's something that I probably have on my shelves. Not that I have any room on my shelves for anything else. There is an unhaul coming soon, but there is also a haul coming soon because I can't help myself. So I don't have any room for anything, but I will make room. Or I will give them as gifts because I enjoy gift giving, but I also enjoy the process of stitching. And I'm gonna be doing it anyway, so like making someone happy with a gift makes me happy. The next three we have here are kind of miscellaneous, except from Psychedelic. Psychedelic was actually from Shirova Creations on Etsy, and this is just like a very hippie psychedelic print. But what I may do is I may chart a quote to go in the middle of this so that it breaks up. Like this would be the background, and then there would be a quote in the middle. I think that's what I would do, but this is for future. This is going to be something that I pick up if I want like mindless satisfying, block color stitching, kind of like Baby Baffet. This would be the same. Then we have Doctor Strange by Charting Creations. This is the one I started on 25 count without knowing anything. And I would re-put it into Pattern Keeper, see if I can get it to work properly. And I would potentially crop off some of the like background, some of the edges, so that it is more centered on Doctor Strange. Now that I know what I'm doing, I feel a bit more equipped to handle this kind of project. But this is a future start for sure. And lastly, we have Mythical Mirror by Needlelot Designs. I don't actually have the size information for this or Psychedelic written down. Doctor Strange is 290 by 515, so I'd probably take the height down quite a bit. Mythical Mirror is just, it's a dragon. It's a dragon with a design around it. This is probably something I would start fairly soon because it would be quick. It would be quick and cute, and also I could put it next to my fantasy dragon books on my shelf and just be like, yeah, these are all my dragon books represented by this dragon, and we can name the dragon, like, yeah, this is something that I would probably start sooner rather than later because it's one of my smaller projects. So that is it. I think I have 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I have 20 on here. And I guess I've shown you 20. So 20 patterns in my stash already. And I've only been stitching. What have I been stitching? In July, June. In June, I will have been stitching for 2 years. I have, oh God, 9 whips on the go. Oh, what do I have? I have Move Forward in Love, No Time Like the Present, Firefly, Freddy, Mordor, Staghead, Minnie, I See You in My Dreams. I'm trying to think now. Oh, a little bit of magic. That's 8. Oh, and Open Your Heart to New Adventures. So yeah, I have 9. I have 9 whips on the go. I have 20 project patterns on my in my stash, and I potentially have another 20 patterns on my wish list. Maybe even more. So, you know, oh, buying cross stitch stuff and stitching are two totally different hobbies, and I love both of them. So, yeah, that is all I have for you today. Let me know in the comments if you plan to stitch any of these, if you're stitching any of these, If I've introduced you to some new patterns you haven't seen, I would love to know. I hope you have a great day, great week, great weekend, whenever the hell you're watching this. Remember to stay safe, happy, and healthy, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Pick it up from the top, hit